So at this point in the process, this knife has been hardened, surface ground, profiled. It's pretty much ready for actually getting the bevels ground on it. So the things that I do at this point prior to actually grinding the bevels is we mark our plunge line, obviously, and then you can see right there is where I have scored the lines for the edge that we're going to bring it to make sure that we got a nice centered straight edge along the whole thing. So once I am done stepping through the grind grits on the belts with this, we will have a knife that looks, minus an edge, for all intents and purposes, like a finished Stout gear knife. Won't have its handle scales and it won't have the logo etch on it yet, but we're getting real close. So we do our grinding after heat treat. As long as you maintain temperatures under that of your temper temperature throughout the whole process, you don't compromise the hardening on your blade at all. So for our purposes, we do major stock removal with very coarse, fresh belts to ensure that we don't build any heat. And we also dip in water after each pass just to maintain those proper temperatures. So, yep, well, let's go ahead and get to grinding. So at this point, basically after we've scored those lines on it, the first thing I do is I'll establish that edge, obviously leaving some material there. So I'll grind 45 on both sides, establishing that center line. And then after I've done that 45, then the next step is actually starting to grind up the blade. And I'll work my way up about halfway with a fairly uniform grind line, and then at that point start slowly working my way up into that arced plunge line. So let's go ahead and do a little grinding so you can see it in action. And that's about as far as we'll go with it, with the real coarse belt. So at this point we'll finish that plunge line as we actually step it through the finer grits. So at this point we'll go ahead and switch over to the other side and grind it up as well. So now is about when we'll start making that transition and actually bringing the grind up towards the plunge line a little bit. You can see at this point it's, you know, a relatively uniform grind. Start taking a little bit more up through this belly section, but past that, at this point it's fairly uniform. And then, like I said, we'll go ahead and start marching that up into the plunge line a bit. So on this side you can see where I stopped short of that plunge line, just so we can finish that up with the finer grits, and on this side we're getting real close now, so I've got, you know, maybe 2 more passes with the belt, and on this side then we're good with the 36 grit, and then it's a matter of starting to take it through the finer grits and finish it out. So This is the general process on the bevel grind.